Black colleges are closer to closing than ever. Years of funding cuts and political pressure have drained their budgets. Not only that, but not many students are enrolling right now, and there is also not enough research funding. All historically black colleges and universities' campuses are struggling right now to stay open. So historically black colleges and universities have a plan to save themselves? What's the future of these black colleges? This is not a new problem. HBCUs have been underfunded for decades, but the gap is finally catching up. Some call it a crisis, others call it a reckoning. Either way, the math doesn't lie. For years, these schools were promised fair state funding and federal support, yet reports show they have been shorted by billions. And now, when those same colleges try to modernize or expand, the money just is not there. The numbers are brutal right now. About half of the income at historically black colleges and universities comes straight from government funding. When Congress tightens budgets, or a state legislature decides to cut programs that they think are non-essential, guess who gets hit first? The schools that already have the least. And when that happens, professors don't get paid on time. There are no more scholarships, and departments are closed. Florida A&M is a big example here. Earlier this year, it lost a $16.3 million federal grant meant to fund research on cancer and artificial intelligence. That was a complete collapse of projects that could have changed lives. Researchers had to pack up labs, and students lost opportunities. Multiply that story across dozens of campuses, and you start to see how fragile the entire system is. And the students are the ones paying the price. Nearly 3 out of every 4 HBCU students depend on Pell Grants. This is federal aid meant for low-income families. When those programs are cut or delayed, tuition becomes impossible. These are not kids with trust funds waiting at home. Many are first-generation college students, working part-time jobs just to stay enrolled. So, when that financial aid doesn't come through, it means it's the end of their college dream. But the financial pain doesn't stop there. The national enrollment cliff, which is expected to hit in 2026, will hurt all universities, but it could be devastating for HBCUs. Fewer high school graduates means fewer freshmen, and fewer freshmen mean less tuition money. It's a domino effect that ends with empty dorms, reduced staff, and eventually closed doors. And while enrollments drop, costs keep rising. Inflation has made everything more expensive, including food services, campus maintenance, and transportation. Most historically black colleges and universities already have old buildings, some over a century old. According to federal reports, almost half of all HBCU facilities need serious repairs, totaling nearly $13 billion. Imagine trying to fix leaking roofs, aging dorms, and outdated labs when you barely have enough to pay for electricity. Students see it too. They walk into classrooms where the projectors don't work, where Wi-Fi cuts out mid-lecture, and where research labs look like they froze in time. And no one can blame them for asking why they should pay to go there when another school has everything they need. That's how you lose a generation of potential students, because people leave when the experience doesn't match the promise. Leadership instability only makes this problem worse. Presidents at some HBCUs barely last a few years before stepping down or being forced out. It's a revolving door of leadership, and every time someone new walks in, the vision changes. One president wants to modernize, the next wants to cut costs, and donors lose confidence somewhere in between. Without consistent leadership, even the best plans fall apart. Meanwhile, the political climate is not doing anyone any favors. Across several states, lawmakers are attacking DEI programs. These are the very initiatives that helped black students thrive in the first place. Right now, funding comes with conditions. They have to either cut their diversity programs or lose their money. It's hard to call that anything but coercion. For HBCUs, which were literally founded to give black students a chance in a segregated America, this feels like history trying to repeat itself in slow motion. And while politicians debate woke policies on TV, real people are watching their institutions crumble. Professors are taking pay cuts, staff are being laid off, and entire departments are shutting down because they don't have enough resources. You cannot run a college on passion alone. It takes funding, stability, and commitment. And right now, all three are running low. You might think alumni donations could fill the gap, but that's another uphill battle. Some HBCUs are lucky if alumni giving reaches 10%. Others barely see 5%. Not because alumni don't care, but because many of them are still paying off student loans or struggling financially themselves. The system that underfunded their education also limited their earning power afterward. It's a cycle that keeps repeating. Then there is the issue of image. When media headlines scream that HBCUs are in crisis, it scares off potential donors and students alike. People don't want to invest in what they think is failing. Yet the reality is, these schools are still producing some of the brightest minds in the country. More than 70% of black doctors, lawyers, and engineers started at HBCUs. That's not a legacy you can replace. Everywhere you look, the pressure is building. Is there any solution to this? HBCUs are not sitting quietly, hoping to be saved. They are reinventing themselves from the inside out. Many HBCUs have realized that waiting on federal money or billion-dollar donors is a trap, so they are building their own way forward. At Savannah State University, for example, President Jermaine Worrell is not guessing what programs to offer. He is watching federal job data like a hawk. Every few months, his team studies Bureau of Labor Statistics reports to figure out where the next wave of jobs will come from. Then they adjust the school's curriculum to match. This way, they create programs in high-demand fields like cybersecurity, healthcare technology, and data science. It's smart, it's strategic, and it's exactly the kind of agility most universities don't have. But it's not just about adding trendy degrees. The real shift is how HBCUs are preparing students for the new economy. More schools are launching micro-credentials, short certificates, and continuing education programs. It's because not everyone can afford 4 years on campus anymore. These programs let working adults or part-time students earn career skills faster and cheaply. This keeps campuses alive and students employed. Technology is another area where the change is clear. Howard, Morgan State, and North Carolina, A&T, are leading a quiet revolution in AI and digital learning. They are creating research labs, online degree platforms, and partnerships with companies like Google, IBM, and Netflix. That's a great strategy. They are linking classrooms directly to industries that actually pay. Then there is the cultural side of reinvention. Dr. Charlie Nelms, educator and former chancellor of North Carolina Central University, calls it building a culture of caring. The goal is to show up for students beyond the classroom. Mentorship programs, mental health services, and need-based scholarships are being expanded across campuses because the truth is, you cannot teach success if your students are too stressed to focus. And yes, alumni have a big role in this reinvention, but the conversation is changing now. It is no longer about donations. Leaders like Nelms say it's about investment. When alumni see their money as an investment in the next generation, they become part of the mission. That mindset change matters. Schools are also reaching alumni through modern platforms like social media campaigns, virtual fundraisers, and even text-based giving drives. It's a small shift with a huge payoff. Some campuses are also getting creative with governance. Leadership training for boards is becoming a priority. It's because many HBCU trustees come from business or politics, not higher education. They are learning how to govern smarter, how to support presidents instead of replacing them every few years. Stable leadership builds trust, and trust attracts donors, grants, and long-term growth. The innovation is not stopping there. Schools like Lincoln University are going global again. They are offering courses in Arabic, Chinese, and Swahili, and reconnecting with the African diaspora. That global focus is to position HBCUs as international hubs for Black excellence. They want these colleges to become places where students from Africa, the Caribbean, and the U.S. can build a shared future. And while the government may be unreliable, corporate America is finally paying attention. Companies need diverse talent, and HBCUs are the most direct pipeline. Boeing, Nike, MasterCard, and Amazon have all started sponsoring scholarships and research centers. For once, industry is meeting HBCUs halfway. But let's be real, it's still an uphill climb. Innovation doesn't erase debt overnight, and reinvention doesn't guarantee survival. But for the first time in a long time, there is movement. Some call it an HBCU renaissance. Others say it is desperation turned into progress. Maybe it's both. The energy is there, but the risks haven't gone away. Federal support is still unpredictable, and political hostility is growing. With diversity programs under attack and education budgets shrinking, HBCUs are fighting to prove their worth in a system that still undervalues them. But would they be given the room to? Right now, the road ahead splits in two directions. One path leads to revival, with stronger endowments, new global partnerships, and better funding models. The other leads to closures, consolidations, and forgotten legacies. In the next decade, experts predict that several smaller HBCUs could merge or shut down altogether if funding trends continue. It's already happening in small ways, as campuses quietly cut programs or suspend admissions to stay afloat. To understand what's at stake, look back at the numbers. In the 1970s, HBCUs enrolled nearly 80% of all Black college students in America. Today, that number sits closer to 10%. The competition from predominantly white institutions, online universities, and rising tuition costs has changed everything. Yet, even with less funding and smaller student populations, HBCUs still produce around 20% of all Black college graduates nationwide. But to keep that legacy alive, they will need serious policy reform. The Biden administration's $7.3 billion HBCU package was a start, but most of that money went to temporary relief, not long-term infrastructure. What HBCUs need are consistent, guaranteed investments, the kind that rebuilds labs, raises faculty pay, and funds modern dorms, not one-time checks that disappear when the next administration takes over. Some states are beginning to face their history. Maryland agreed to pay $577 million to its public HBCUs after years of lawsuits over underfunding. It's progress, but other states like Tennessee, Florida, and Mississippi still owe billions in unfulfilled land grant support. Until that money is repaid, the system remains unbalanced. Still, there is hope on the horizon. Partnerships with universities in Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa are expanding opportunities for research and student exchange. For the first time, historically, Black colleges and universities are positioning themselves as global brands. They are the centers of Black excellence that connect continents. At the same time, corporations are realizing they cannot talk about diversity without investing in it. Amazon, Apple, and Netflix are among those funding scholarships, building innovation labs, and hiring directly from HBCU campuses. If that momentum continues, it could reshape how companies recruit and how HBCUs fund their futures. But the sad part is that not every campus will make it. Smaller schools with limited endowments may have to merge or specialize to survive. Some might focus on specific industries like healthcare, education, or technology rather than trying to do it all. Others could pivot into online-only programs or partnerships with community colleges. The next decade will test which HBCUs can evolve and which will fade into history. If you think this was bad, wait until you hear about the hidden stories and the cover-ups. You have been lied to about what's really going on. So if you want to hear more of the horrible truths behind Black colleges, watch the next video.